Alright, so instead of the talking head, we'll talk about examine, which is day 11's keyword for the RPD Day Challenge for 2019. We're sitting in the alley behind a restaurant called Billy V's. The owners were supposed to be here or have the doors open at 8 a.m. so I could serve us. So they might just show up here at any minute, and if not, in about 15 minutes, I'm rolling on to my next job, and such is the way life works, right? Examine. When I thought of the word, keyword, it made me reflect. I looked back at and examined my progression through this hobby over the years and the various steps and milestones or increments of however you want to look at it, that has either altered my perspective, enhanced my perspective, my understanding of the hobby, my interest in it, so on and so forth. Examine means a different thing to a lot of people, but the term's pretty straightforward. One of the things that I noticed as I progressed, especially in these latter years, is that I became much more interested in how things work and why things work the way they do in the hobby, behind the scenes, from the mechanics of games, the things that instigate or to encourage interaction, and why we do these things. Not necessarily does it always need to be overcomplicated or have to be sophisticated, but there's a rhyme and reason pretty much to everything that goes on in any given game system. And even the base game system of checkers has rules, it has mechanics, it also has options and potential things that can be altered or modified to make it different from the standard set of rules. And examining how I interact with my fellow players, my game associates, other game masters and storytellers, trying to learn from their experiences and from the methodology that they use. So in some aspects, I'm examining them. In some ways, I'm going to equate this like going to a movie repeatedly. I know that I've seen Star Wars: A New Hope in excess of 400 or 500 times in my life. And it probably is much more than that, although where I was more having it in the background. But there was a stretch during my bachelor years that often in the evening when I was working on a game project of some sort, I would have my VHS dubbed copy of the first 3 movies for Star Wars playing on the TV, just for something, as opposed to say running the stereo, where a lot of people will play music. I would play sci-fi videos or fantasy videos or what have you. And there's a kind of a sideway view of how you examine things. So when you go to the movie, the same movie for the 4th time, you start looking at the movie from a completely different perspective. You find things, the little things that are in there that you missed the first time. It's like reading a book. Often you can read a book 2 or 3 times and come away with something richer for the experience, because the more you repetitively do something, the more you examine something in detail, the more you're going to focus on the individual pieces of what makes up the story or the movie or the game system, and allow you to either critique it in your head, judge it to decide whether it's worthy of your time, if it's something that really needs to be in your version of the game or your campaign, or whether or not you want to discard it, or today we would call it homebrew, and change it or add something to enhance it or make it less of something. It's all part of the process, in my opinion. So examining, and we're going to examine ourselves, or examine the game systems we play and our interests. We examine our players and those people who sit at our tables, trying to learn what we need to learn to make the game better, or to at least make it entertaining for all of us. We also learn from what we do. So the more we examine something, regardless if it's a TV series, a movie, your life partner, the crazy dude across the street, the more we learn, the more we know how to deal with it, in my opinion.